Jeremy Mayfield making a pit stop. Ken Schrader just went out of the pits, making his pit stop.
A penalty on Mayfield. You see the red jacket? That's the NASCAR official holding Mayfield.
Apparently came down pit road too fast. Other cars coming in right now. Michael Waltrip coming down pit road. So is Dale Earnhardt.
Jerry Nadeau. And the 24 of Jeff Gordon, who's many laps back. Here comes Dale Jr.
Mike Skinner is in. Johnny Benson, Bill Elliott, John Andretti, and Ricky Rudd are pitting on lap 89. Bill?
Dale Earnhardt is in. You're watching the oldest average age pit crew in Winston Cup. 38 years old, but they can still get it done. They'll do 4 tires. Dale says that the water's not hot enough. At some point, they're going to try to get some tape on the front of that car to make it run a little bit warmer. No chassis adjustment. Fuel is in the car. Electric tire hung up just a little bit. That slowed them down as the last drops of gasoline go into the number 3. He's good to go.
Jimmy Spencer, Scott Pruitt, Robbie Gordon also came in on this lap. Kenny Irwin is in, and Elliott Sadler for the famed Wood brothers. Here's Joe Nemechek making his pit stop. All these are green flag pit stops. Sterling Marlin is in, but the leaders continue to run.
I wonder how long they'll continue to run, Mike. Of course, they know how many laps they can run on a tank of fuel, but I think it's got to be getting close.
Closer than you know, Ned. The leader, Dale Jarrett, should pit this time, and likely Rusty Wallace will come with him.
You can go ahead and count on that. The 3 leaders will come down pit road. I guarantee you Rusty Wallace will come in with him.
Matt Kenseth is in as Kenny Schrader leaves. They're working on Steve Park's car here, the number 1. Kyle Petty is in. Kenny Wallace, Stacy Compton, and here come the leaders down pit road under green. 55 miles an hour once they hit that first line. That's the speed limit on pit road for crew safety. Ralph?
Here comes the leader, Dale Jarrett, to a stop. Mike Trower and Kevin Gilman go to work on the tires. A good pit stop. They'll have that first lug off before the tire even stops spinning. Rusty Wallace's crew already around to the left side, as is Dale Jarrett's crew. They're going to go out together after making their adjustments. Dick Bergen.
Tony Stewart is in his pit, as is his teammate, Bobby Labonte, in front of him. Stewart stopped just a bit short because the 31 of Skinner had already pitted. That ensured he would not get blocked in. Oh, Stewart had stalled the car on pit road. Oh, and now he's hit a tire. He is pushing a tire up pit road. He is wiggling the car, trying to get rid of that tire. He's still got it. It's finally gone. Oh, a tough break for Tony Stewart. Tough break. Pushed that tire all the way up pit road.
And look what that will do to the front valence, the front spoiler on Tony Stewart's car.
Boy, you know, when you do that, you pick that tire up, and there's so much friction there. 9 out of 10 times it'll bend the middle part of that valence in, and that makes the car very hard to drive.
Chad Little picked up the lead in the Daytona 500, not having yet made his pit stop, and led that last lap by. 92 laps complete. Here's the tire being pushed back behind the wall. Now, that was a tire that had been taken off one of the car as Chad Little surrenders the lead and makes a pit stop. And the tire carrier takes that tire off and sets it down flat so it doesn't roll. And apparently it was set down out in the lane to where Tony Stewart collected it and just shoved it like a hockey puck the length of pit road. Early damage to Wally Dallenbach being taped over and a new nose piece going on there. Trying to improve the aerodynamics.
And then so far that championship pit crew that Dale Jarrett has hired is really making a difference. Right now he's pretty much out there right by himself. Rusty's trying to catch back up, but this car's motoring.
It is, but he's running behind Mark Martin, who had made that pit stop earlier, and we predicted that he'd be the leader after these pit stops.
All right, let's see what happened to Tony Stewart. Look at the orange car on the right side of your screen, just behind his teammate, Bobby Labonte.
Okay, the trouble is this tire right there. He's going to pick it up and take it right down pit road.
That was, I believe, the right rear tire from Bobby Labonte's car.
You know.
And what happened to Dale Earnhardt? Here's the fuel man finishing up with that first can. Here comes the second can. Oops.
Missed.
He slipped.
Slipped and
might have spilled a bit of gas there on the first can, and the fuel man slips in it, misses the receptacle. 93 laps are complete in the Daytona 500. Mark Martin is the leader. That's a long ways to make up back on track.
Well, and the other thing it did is brought him right up behind Mark Martin. They're drafting right now, and it's going to be tough to run them down.
Halfway point coming up here, $10,000 bonus from Gatorade for the driver who leads this lap, and it looks like it will be Mark Martin.
Well, that early pit stop for the blistered tire looked like a tragedy for Mark Martin, but after this round of pit stops, he has the lead, and I'm corrected from Jarrett. Back to Rusty Wallace is 2.1 seconds.
There's Scott Pruitt, one of the rookie drivers, going a lap down.
That'll leave us 30 cars on the lead lap at halfway. Now, when this will show up as a difference, Mark Martin pitted at lap 80. Jarrett pitted 11 laps later. So this run by Mark Martin, if we stay green, will be shorter than Jarrett's.
It will be, and could leave Jarrett out there by himself with no one to draft.
Cross flags indicate halfway to the field.
Ned, I got to tell you, that 2 car is just a little ways back, just about a second. So if he gets out there by himself, I think Rusty can maybe help him there. So it looks like the game plan may get back together before it's all over.
And as the cross flags were shown, Morris Metcalf, 6 decades a NASCAR official, there in the Pepsi scoring tower, took off the headset, handed it over to Tim Hudson, NASCAR's new chief scorer. The headset has passed.
Well, I'll tell you, he's had a remarkable career. He was scoring races when I was racing. Only 2 official head scorers in NASCAR since it started. Joe Epton, and then he passed it on to Morris Metcalf, and now today, Morris Metcalf passes it on, as you said, to Tim Hudson. And
a very dignified man, too. I went in there many a time with smoke coming out of both nostrils, and I'd say, I know I beat this guy. And he'd say, buddy, you didn't beat him. I just go on back to my car. I didn't argue with him because he was always right.
And until recently, scoring was all done by hand on scoring lap charts, one for each car, and tapes were done of the car. Each car as they passed the start-finish line. Morris's nickname was Morris Never Missed One Yet, Cav.
There you go. Of course, it's done electronically now. Each of the cars has a chip on them as they come across the start-finish line. It'll register, but they still have a score for each driver in the scoring stand there as a backup situation, just in case the electronic deal should not work.
102 laps, Ned. Mark Martin leads Dale Jarrett and Rusty Wallace. 3 of those fast Fords out front. Michael Waltrip, Ward Burton, Dale Earnhardt in 6th, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, despite playing hockey down pit road with that errant tire, is 8th. Jeff Burton is 9th, and Joe Nemechek is up into the top 10.
Watching these 2 cars run together right now, they're basically by themselves. Now, they lapped the Tide car just a second ago, and the difference in the great draft, he's able to run right with them now. Scott's able to hold right on to him, and he's running the same speed as the leaders that just lapped him. That's what the draft will do for a race car.
Good learning experience for him in the draft. He doesn't have that kind of experience, excepting what he ran in the IROC series, because the other forms of racing that he's been doing, you don't draft as much as you do here in the stock cars NASCAR.
Well, the guy I was talking about is Scott Pruitt, and what he's doing right now, he's in that lead draft, and he went from 188 to about 191.
Trouble on Jerry Nadeau. He had a great early race, but it's still a rough ride here at Daytona. The bracket welded to the chassis to hold the rear shock absorber on. Well, it's broken. They've had to make repairs and try to get Nadeau back out there.
Boy, he had such a great run going.
Dick Berggren?
Well, we just had pit stops, so you might think it's too early to make deals for the next one. Not for Tommy Baldwin, who is the crew chief for Ward Burton. They are getting absolutely terrible fuel mileage, so they're going to have to come in fairly early. So Baldwin came down to Mark Martin's pit and said, how about we all hook up together? Remember, Martin had that bad tire. He pitted early, so they are going to try to pit together. It's a long way down the road, but that's the game plan. To Ralph.
I just talked to Tom Parra, crew chief for Dale Jarrett. I said, what are you going to do when you have Mark Martin disappear and you get hung out by yourself? Are you going to try to hook up with Rusty? He says, nah, we're just going to try to stay out there by ourselves and hope we can get it done.